After a breakup, we often do foolish things, sometimes even destructive ones. I've been there too. This video isn't about tips or life hacks. This is my raw personal story as a woman, as a therapist, as someone who once cried in the shower every morning and had very difficult time getting out of bed. I will share 5 main mistakes that I've made, same ones thousands of people are making every day. Maybe you'll recognize yourself in my story, and that's my goal. I want to show you that there is another way, softer, more delicate way to be with yourself at this time of a rebirth. Without self-destruction, without blame, without shaming yourself. Just stay with me. I promise I'll be honest. There's a lot of strength in vulnerability, and this is exactly where I'm inviting you to. So this wasn't my first breakup. I've had relationships before, and from experience I've learned that breakups were painful, and yet I just had to push through, go on with my life, and things will settle. But this breakup was different. Somehow the moment we were over, even though I knew we were getting there, I shattered into a million pieces, and I was like lost all over the universe. These 3 little words and my whole world turned upside down. I desperately grasped for an air to breathe. There was no solid ground. I was hanging in the middle of nowhere, in the oblivion of hell. One moment you feel this love, security, connection to the other person flowing in and out like a life source. Though truth is, even if you know, you cannot fully prepare yourself for this moment. My immediate automatic response to hearing his verdict was to just walk and keep walking. Couple of hours passed as if I was in the fog, just lost in the world, disconnected from everything that reality ever was. My body was so overwhelmed with the emotions, with the pain, with whatever the hormones were rushing through it, that I didn't care about anything. No phone calls, no work obligations, no office meetings. Nothing could reach me in that numbness. Nothing really mattered anymore. I only had that hole that was me, sucking me dry and bleeding with tears. And yet, despite all of this horror, I knew nothing better than to pull myself together and go on with my life. So as you see, the first mistake that I've made was staying strong and hoping the pain will just go away. At that time, I was working in the office at a very high position. I was a top manager for a very large-scale international project. I had a team that I had to manage, lots of meetings to attend, customer to respond to. Didn't even cross my mind that I could take time off to attend myself and that my body actually needed it. Instead, I completely, firmly focused on work, on the results that I had to deliver, and I forced myself to live my life as if nothing important happened. The best time was in the mornings, when I just woke up. Those golden seconds when I just woke up and the pain didn't kick in yet. And then the torture was stepping in. My days were filled with pain and battling it just to go on with basic things. I literally talked to myself in the mirror, without the mirror, sometimes even out loud. I told myself that I had to toughen up because we had all of these goals set up and plans that we had to deliver, and that there was no time for me to break down no matter what actually happened and how much pain I was experiencing. I was attending meetings, writing reports, meeting with my friends, and even taking dance classes, and clearly nothing was erasing my pain. The office was an open space. My status didn't let me be weak in front of my employees and my management, so the only place where I could actually let go just a little bit, just for a couple of minutes, was just the toilet. I was almost praying for pain to stop being so unbearable, but nothing was changing it. It wasn't getting any better, and I had no idea why. People say that all the time, right? That time heals, and I truly wanted to believe into that. There was nothing else I could cling to as my medicine happen, and therefore I just waited, I toughened up, I continued with my life doing the best that I thought I could. Looking back as a professional therapist, I wish I had met someone back then who would explain me what kind of an impact that breakup had on my whole health, on my body, on my nervous system, the damage it actually caused, and especially what kind of help I truly needed. Instead, I had to learn it the hard way and become the expert myself. I found out about the specific stages the person is going through when processing the breakup. What kind of actions are needed to be taken ASAP to mitigate the damage and heal faster, instead of shattering into a million pieces and taking years to recover like I did. Drop a comment below if you did this like myself or you are actually doing it right now. After the breakup, my initial response was to cut him off completely. Going, be gone. But then I started missing him, as if a part of me didn't really care what happened and just wanted to feel him again, to feel this connection, to lose myself in him and in the safety, security, love, appreciation, acknowledgement, whatever I was feeling when I was with him. No dignity, no pride, no boundaries, nothing mattered. Just feeling the comfort of his love again. Clearly, this created an inner conflict, as the other parts of my personality were very much aware of the reality and were not ready for humiliation. But social media, there was nothing humiliating about that, right? Seeing his pictures and happy moments did cut me like a knife. And yet it was the only way that I could connect to his energy. Torn apart, I promised again and again that I would not look into his profile anymore, and yet I kept doing it. The worst part was to see that he was just going on with his life, as if nothing happened, as if I was never there, as if saying goodbye to me had never impacted him at all. Frankly, I started questioning whether there was love at all, whether what I felt from him was real, whether I could even trust myself with what I feel and understand about other people. And that was the low blow. What a big part of me hoped for was for him to realize how much he loves me and that he just cannot go on without me, because he had literally told me this once. So how come it changed and he didn't care anymore? Why was I the one in pain and he was the one enjoying his life? Now, being a therapist, I can attend all of the parts that get triggered at the breakup, avoiding further escalation of the inner conflict, and showing people that their ex actually has different parts inside of them too, and his own ways to deal with stressful circumstances. Also know now is the narcissistic dynamics in the relationships and how that creates winners and losers, and what are the signs you are not actually in a mutual and loving relationship you are hoping for, but maybe someone consciously or unconsciously uses you and your resources. So many aspects to every situation, and yet the most important message that everyone going through the breakup needs to hear is there is nothing wrong with you. If you want to check his social media, this means there is a part of you that searches comfort in it. It is nothing to be ashamed of. Compassion is the healing. The first night I was so horrified of going into bed alone and missing him that I actually called another ex who we are friends with, asking him to come over and stay with me so that I just wouldn't be alone. But it didn't help, because we only spoke about distant subjects and the comfort that I so desperately needed wasn't really there. His presence didn't fill the hole of another ex. After some time, I started getting angry with myself, shaming me for feeling so bad, for experiencing so much pain, for getting so attached and not being an independent, strong, powerful myself. There was a lot of blame and self-shaming and self-criticism going on, and that clearly didn't help, and yet that blocked me from opening up to people, because even before the breakup, I was used to be so-called warrior and not showing the weaknesses, not showing the vulnerability to the others, always coming up as a strong, powerful, decision-oriented, goal-oriented, result-oriented, someone really a superhero. And I truly believed, as I would later find out, that people didn't really care about my feelings, therefore I didn't share those. And the more I was hiding this hurting part of myself from people, the stronger it was getting. And the more shame, therefore, and anger and suppression I needed and required to go on with the life. I wanted to cry almost all the time, and the thoughts in my head about him were on a repeat like a broken record. And yet it was all happening inside me. I didn't let anyone in, and only my cat, my beautiful beloved cat, actually saw what was happening to myself, what I was going through, and sometimes when he wanted, he was there to support me. That warrior mindset and interpreting pain as a weakness and as something to be ashamed of actually was standing in the way of me turning to professional help as well. And it took me quite a while before I actually admitted that I was not coping well, that things were getting worse, that the pain was so strong that I couldn't bear it anymore, and that suicidal thoughts started to come into my head, not because I was so upset with myself, but because I was in so much pain that I just didn't know how else I could end it. I wasn't drinking, I wasn't smoking, I wasn't taking drugs, I wasn't doing any things that could numb the feelings, and they were just too much. And parts of me were looking for ways to escape the pain, and so I gave in to professional help. Turned out the breakups are so painful for those with a dependent attachment style, those who have a lot of unmet needs from the childhood area that affect their grown-up relationships. It is also called the relationship trauma, and the trick is that you get it in a relationship, but you also heal it in a relationship as well. Problem is, you need to find a safe person who's not gonna create any more trauma, but instead allow you the space to heal. What is desperately needed after the breakup is emotional support. Someone to share the pain with, whose compassion you can feel, who will make you feel better just by being next to you. And for people like me, who are used to showing their stronger side to the others whilst hiding the weak side and their feelings, it's really hard to get around this concept. We need people, but the right kind of people. Delicate, attentive, caring, and dependent on how bad the breakup hurt you, professional in these skills. If any of this sounds familiar, drop a comment below. Which of these 3 mistakes did you make? Doing this, you might help someone else feel a little less alone. I've realized that I'm not gonna make it on my own, that I need professional help, and I asked my friends for recommendations. I thought psychologists were actually qualified to help me, and yet the first one completely diminished my feelings, saying, "Oh, you just met an emotionally available person," after hearing my story. She completely ignored the way I was feeling, what I was struggling with, and that was a very strange person. Qualified in Gestalt therapy, by the way, recommended by people, and I have no idea who would trust herself with at such a difficult time of life. The other one ended up blaming me for making good money in the office, working for bad guys, and therefore being bad, as good ones like her cannot afford the kind of life she found out I had at the course of our sessions. I was crushed, shattered, barely making it through, and instead of compassion, support, and professional help, those specialists offered me diminishment and judgment. No one seemed to care what I felt and how unbearable the pain really was. And frankly, the pain was growing with the time and with additional triggers like meeting this kind of professional. Finally, I found another one who diagnosed me with a depression and put me on antidepressant. And yet, she clearly was avoiding the subject of my ex and my related feelings at our sessions. It felt like the elephant was in the room, but no one wanted to address it. I started to feel that my life was never getting better, and that I might not feel like myself ever again. What truly helped was talking to my friend about my feelings. unfiltered. Crying, sharing, hugging, and learning about breakup trauma. I studied cognitive behavioral therapy, dialectic behavioral therapy, coaching, family constellations, internal family systems, sound healing to find a cure for myself, because professionals were actually lacking the expertise on how to help me with the breakup. What a surprise! It turned out that the breakup was a shattering moment, and yet it offered the chance for a rebirth. The one that others don't get, staying stuck in their relationship patterns and life strategies formed in the past. You can almost see the beauty and wisdom of your life path and the role of a breakup in it if you distance yourself enough. And of course, it is not available at a time of the sharpest pain. First, you need to process it carefully to reap the benefits afterwards. I blamed myself for getting in this relationship. I took all the responsibility on myself for opening up, for trusting him, for letting him under my skin. And the thing is, I didn't open up straight away. I was very much cautious after the relationships that I've had before about the other people and their intentions. And it took me a while to actually get convinced that he was serious, that he did love me, that he truly cared for me. It didn't come straight away, it came with a price. He did prove it to me, and then when we faced the breakup, all of a sudden I started doubting what I was feeling before, because it just didn't sum up. If he did love me so much, if he wanted to be with me, if he cared for my feelings, then why was he not with me? And instead of seeing the big picture back then, I just drowned in pain and continued blaming myself for trusting this stranger, even though he showed me that he cared, because I decided that it was all not true and that he was just playing me. And again, I was to blame for the fact that he fooled me. I also blamed myself for feeling so much pain, for not coping quicker, faster, better, and for not getting on with my life soon enough as I saw others do and as I expected me to do. I blamed myself for not being able to build a happy, lasting relationship, thinking about other exes of mine and the people who were actually happily married. Not only did I feel broken at that time, but I started to feel like damaged goods, that something was utterly wrong with me, that they just didn't want to choose me and didn't want to be with me. And this breakup was especially hurtful, as my ex seemed to sincerely, truly adore and love the whole of me. Again, now as a therapist, I learned that in my childhood, when the only way to survive was to stay in a relationship no matter what the price was. Taking blame, taking shame, taking guilt, taking whatever responsibility, and feeling not decent to just be treated differently. This breakup burdened me with shame and blame even further, even though it wasn't the reason I took it in the first place. Instead, this relationship truly gave me the chance and experience of feeling love, feeling truly and fully accepted, adored, cherished, cared for, but not chosen. And that kinda erased the rest for the time being. I was grieving the loss of someone truly important, as if a child is grieving the death of his parent, trying to process the unbearable and extremely large amount of pain, and therefore needing a lot of support. As human beings, we are built in such a way that certain emotional volumes of pain are not meant to be processed alone. They are meant to be shared, and staying connected, staying in contact with people who care for you, staying emotionally attached is the only way to actually process the pain. And instead, I was completely cutting myself off the world, cutting all the connection out, and demanding my inner child to process the pain on her own without providing her the support that she needed. That was just impossible, and this is exactly what led me to professional help, to depression, to antidepressants, and created the consequences that I had to recover from for quite a while. It's like a child who lost their parent, grieving, going through stages, trying to process the extreme amount of pain, needing a lot of support, a lot of care, a lot of compassion, a lot of attendance by grown-ups. And yet you demand this kid not to hurt, to be okay, to lead a full, productive life. But how? Today, when I see others going through the same kind of a heartbreak, I know there's a gentler way to move through it. I work with people one-on-one. If you are where I was once, you don't have to go through it alone. We can work this path together with care, with support, with understanding, with compassion, and with the proper techniques that will help you straight away. All the links are in the video description. Here is some food for thought. Relationships come and go, but the main relationship in our life is with ourselves. And breakup is a great time to master it. Drop a comment if any of my words resonated with you. Share your story. Let's create the community where we can support each other at this beautiful, amazing, and yet extremely painful time of a rebirth.